Draymond Green again. Like I said, he's the gift that keeps on giving as far as topics for our show and other shows as well. And here he is on the podcast with JJ Redick talking about Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and why they needed Durant so much.
Teams have figured us out, and I personally don't think at that point Steph Curry had figured out I'm going to get a bucket whenever I want to. I don't think he was capable of that yet. I think he was still growing into that. We got to a point where we needed to be able to give someone the ball that can just go get a bucket. And Kevin was already there. I don't think Steph was there yet. It gets us through those 2 years. We get those 2 championships. But while we're doing that, Steph is continuing to work and evolving, and most importantly, becoming the strongest dude on our team.
All right, Rob G, you can have at it first. What do you think?
I think that Draymond Green unintentionally just poked a major hole in Steph Curry's long-term legacy. Because when Steph Curry won that 4th championship and the Finals MVP, his big money quote was on the headlines, ESPN.com, FoxSports.com. What are they going to say now? That was Steph Curry's quote, told to Mark Spears. Well, Draymond just told you what they're going to say now. They needed that 7-foot easy money sniper to not only beat LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, but apparently just to get them a bucket in tight situations because Steph Curry was not capable at that point in time in his career because they had been, quote unquote, figured out by the rest of the NBA.
Yeah, you're right. You are absolutely right. Hopefully people don't remember this because I think it's some nonsense. Now, I'll say this. Kevin Durant certainly balled out for the Warriors. Kevin Durant certainly made the Warriors better than they were before. They were basically unbeatable with him. But I disagree with Draymond that they wouldn't have won the championship without KD. Another one. First of all, I think they would have come back in 17 with a vengeance, having felt like they gave away that series. And Rob G, you might not remember this. They demolished Cleveland in those first 3 games that they won.
Yes.
3 of the 4.
Yep.
They won all 3 by double figures and by an average of 20 points. So really, Draymond kind of avoided the elephant in the room. And this goes back to what Rob Parker always gets upset about. Why didn't JJ Redick push back and say, well, hold on. Y'all whipped them in 3 of the first 4 games. And your suspension, I thought, was the turning point. And then see where Draymond goes from there. He avoided that altogether, right? And so it's revisionist history, and I think he's trying to protect his friend, Kevin Durant, which I get that. That's fine. Because Durant's taken a lot of strays over the last month. But I just think, and Rob G, in 2018, Kyrie wasn't even there.
No.
You going to tell me Cleveland couldn't have beat that, or Golden State couldn't have beat that Cavs team without Kyrie? And so I just think it's revisionist history. And then to get to the Kevin Durant stuff, wasn't that their problem against Houston? Remember when Houston took them 7, had them down 3-2, and going to Houston. If Chris Paul doesn't get hurt, they may lose with Kevin Durant. And the problem at that time, remember, it was the big thing. We play 5-man basketball, KD. We move the ball. We move bodies. And KD was like, man, but at this level, man, you got to just go. You need a guy that can just break it down, play ISO. And Houston could play ISO ball with Golden State.
Right.
They couldn't play the 5-man team ball, player ball movement with Golden State. And that's why they almost beat Golden State in that series, because Durant was bucking at the system.
Yeah, they tricked him into going ISO because they kept switching everything. He's like, well, if I'm going to have James Harden on me, I'm just going to shoot over the top of him because he can't stop me.
Yep. And that's not what they do. So you're right. In the process of trying to protect KD, he threw Steph under the bus. And Rob G, Steph averaged 30. Steph was the unanimous MVP, first in the league history. That year that he said he couldn't create his own shot. And Draymond, so obviously they were double teaming Steph before KD got there. Even when KD got there, teams continued to double him. Why? If he couldn't create his own shot, why were they doubling him? They were certainly not doubling him as he's running all over the place, running off screens. You're doubling him once he gets the ball and can do something because you're worried, especially when you got Kevin Durant on the floor. If I have to worry about this 7-foot monster and Klay Thompson, and then this one guy, Steph, can't create his own shot, why in the world am I going to double him and risk KD and Klay getting theirs? Come on, man. This is revisionist history. And wasn't he the guy that told KD, we don't need you? Leave. We don't need. Come on, Dre, you better than this. You think people don't have receipts? Stop it, man. He's an NBA champion. Fox Sports Radio NBA analyst, our man, the one and only, Eddie House. What up, brother? Eddie, Rob is out. Rob Parker, he got a bad voice. His voice is hoarse. And Rob G is filling in, but he's got to take care of something during this segment. So it's me and you solo. So let's get to it. Lots of NBA action to get to. What do you think of the Dejounte Murray trade to Atlanta? Do you like that for the Hawks? How much does this help them? Obviously, the Spurs are kind of looking toward the future. So what do you think about this with Atlanta?
I think it's a big pickup. It's some pressure off of Trae Young. He doesn't have to do everything. Trae Young's not known as a really good defender or a great defender at all, and I think the Dejounte Murray, he does check that box. He's a really good on-ball defender and defender at that position. I think he just gives him a break, another scorer, another guy that could go get it, another guy could play make. It looks good, but that doesn't, to me, that doesn't move the needle. That doesn't make the Hawks all of a sudden jump. Any of the teams that we look at, Philly, we look at Boston, we look at Brooklyn. It does not jump. It does not make them jump over any of those teams.
Well, speaking of not moving the needle, Jalen Brunson, look, God bless him. He's going to get his payday. Looks like about 4 years, $110 million. So good for him. That's twice as much, Eddie, as the Mavericks offered him for 5 years. $55 million earlier in the season. He turned it down. And now, he's got a chance to double his money in shorter time. And it's not Jalen's fault, but he's being talked about as if he's a perennial all-star. Like he's about to go to New York and really make them a contender in the East. And I mean, I don't even have to ask you if that's the case. We know that's not the case. But what do you think about this signing? And you know New York. Is that too much pressure on Jalen Brunson?
I don't think it's too much pressure on him because at the end of the day, let's all be honest about this. It's not the fact that Jalen Brunson can't play basketball. Everybody's looking at the number he's signing for, and that's where everybody got to get out of that feeling, okay? If they're willing to pay you this amount of money for what you bring to the table, that's what it is, right? And the Knicks did everything they could to open up cap space to go get him. He made himself an attractive free agent during these playoffs, getting to the Western Conference Finals and playing well throughout the start of the playoffs all the way through the end of the playoffs, being basically the second guy to Luka, right? So, yeah, does he deserve it? He definitely deserves every penny that he's getting that I'm looking at. But if you are a Knicks fan, you're looking at like, we did all of that. We didn't draft nobody. We moved everybody. We did all of that to get Jalen Brunson because at the end of the day, like you said, he's not a perennial all-star. He's not a guy. I believe he's a really good second guy, possibly third guy in the league that you could depend on night in and night out. But when you start signing these guys to these kind of deals, and go get your money. Trust me. I don't want anybody to take it as saying that he don't deserve. He don't know, because I'm saying that he does deserve it and go get it. But when you sign a guy like that to that type of money, that's saying, hey, you're a franchise changer. You're a box office. And do I look at Jalen Brunson as box office? Maybe he proves us wrong next year after next season, right? But as of right now, that's not the case. I think he's a very, very good basketball player, and one of those that on winning teams, every winning team needs a player like Jalen Brunson.
We saw Kyrie Irving, for all the smoke and talk about going to the Lakers for $6 million and talk about all these teams that he's willing to play for in a sign and trade. He winds up going back to the Nets smartly. What do you expect from them next year?
I don't think it was smart. I think it was forcibly. Okay, I think there was nobody out there really biting on anything that they wanted. People see this where it's been too much fire everywhere that he's went, and other organizations had to put out those fires that he started. So they're looking at it like, he had to opt in, and why wouldn't you opt in? Are you going to say you're going to turn down $37 million to go play for $6 million? I don't think so. At the end of the day, I don't think you do that. But to me, I think where everything gets twisted, and this is my take on the Kyrie and guys that have been doing these sort of things during the season and, sitting out or taking personal. Everybody's dealing with mental health. Let's not sneeze at that. But everybody has something going on. Nobody has a lily white life where it's just like, oh, I'm just going through life and it's perfect for me.
Right.
Not that, okay?
I mean, Eddie, when you played, didn't you see guys go through divorce, right? Guys go through relationship issues, just
side work issues, everything.
Right.
Baby mom, everything. He's dealing with everything. So my thing is what I'm saying with Kyrie, I think what he's doing is he's making it harder. And not only him, it's been a handful of players that what they have done for what everybody has done to this point, previous players, all the vets, all the people that has been in the fraternity of this league have built it to this point for player empowerment, for player to have power to do what they want to do and kind of be in control. What happened in this last 4 or 5 years, it really has taken us back as far as player power, because this next collective bargaining agreement, guess what? These owners are going to have draw some hard lines in the sand, and they're not going to budge. And I would not be surprised. I know it's a lot of money out there, the TV deals and all that, but these billionaires, these guys that own these teams, a lot of them are hobbies now. They're not like this is what they do for their life. It can lead into a lockout. And it's not cool for the players coming up behind. And that's what everybody in this fraternity is. We're trying to make it better for the next generation of players.
I agree with you. And let me ask you this, and we got about a minute for your answer. And I know basketball friendships, sometimes they're not as close as what we might think. But obviously there's a good relationship between Kyrie and KD. Do you think a guy in that situation should kind of say something to his buddy? Like, if you're that close, I could come to you and say something like, man, you blowing it. Or, look, dude, we gotta buckle up. We came here to win a championship. Something like that. I mean, do you think that should take place?
Well, I'm quite sure that has taken place behind closed doors, but they're not going to air that out and say that that's happened publicly. I'm quite sure that if we are that close and we've had conversations off the record, obviously, and conversations as friends that we're not going to go and share with the rest of the media.
Okay.
So that's happened. I mean, come on, like, there's no way you think that KD has not had no conversation with him this summer since the end of the playoffs? Stop it. That for sure they didn't talk about it. They're just not going to come out and say, yeah, we talked about it, and this is what he said, and this is what he said. No, KD's going to say, hey, I know what he says, and we just going to, it is what it is. I'm going to act like it's his business, and he has the right to do his business. And I think that's how you normally handle stuff like that. You keep it in-house and keep it internally. I think what's happened is a lot of information get leaked, and it shouldn't be. But that's the age we live in now.
All right, that's our man, Eddie House. We appreciate the knowledge, brother.
Right on, man. You guys take care, man. Hey, tell Rob, I think he got that voice on that Golden Girls tour, because he probably sounds like one of them Golden Girls right now too, ain't he?